So President Trump just made not one, but two bombshell admissions, one about Jeffrey Epstein and two about the Wall Street Journal. Also, Democrats were denied access to a detention facility in a humiliating fashion. You got to see this. And Cory Booker just lost his mind on the Senate floor. We're going to get into these stories, show you what both sides are saying, and give you the bottom line.
Epstein has a certain reputation, obviously. I'm just curious, were some of the workers that were taken from you, were some of them young women?
Were some of them
young women?
Well, I don't want to say, but everyone knows the people that were taken. And it was the concept of taking people that work for me is bad. But that story's been pretty well out there. And the answer is yes, they were.
Yes, they were young women?
In the spa.
In the spa?
Yeah, people that work in the spa. I have a great spa, one of the best spas in the world at Mar-a-Lago. And people were taken out of the spa, hired by him. In other words, gone. And other people would come and complain, this guy is taking people from the spa. I didn't know that. And then when I heard about it, I told them, I said, listen, we don't want you taking our people, whether it was spa or not spa. I don't want him taking people. And he was fine, and then not too long after that, he did it again, and I said, out of here.
Mr. President, did one of those stolen, persons, does that include Virginia Jeffrey?
I don't know. I think she worked at the spa. I think so. I think that was one of the people, yeah. He stole her. And by the way, she had no complaints about us, as you know. None whatsoever.
We've seen how...
Okay, so what you just heard there was the president on Air Force One making his way back to Washington, D.C. And the stunning admission here is that he was explaining why he parted ways with Jeffrey Epstein. Bottom line is, he says one of the reasons had to do with Jeffrey Epstein stealing employees away from his spa at Mar-a-Lago. Now, nothing to really report on that. These are things that were already known. But according to CNN, they got to make this a big deal. And they used the tragedy and suicide of Virginia Jeffrey, which the reporter did ask the president about. And so what we're going to do is take a look at this clip from Erin Burnett and her line of questioning. I think she's trying to suggest that there's something there between President Trump, Virginia Jeffrey, and some scandal that hasn't been reported on. Let me know if you guys hear the same thing. Take a listen.
Okay, so what did she say to you about him, right? I mean, he's saying, okay, she worked at the spa. At the time, she was 16 or 17. Epstein hires her. Epstein obviously is I want to be clear here, is not in the hospitality business. So why he's hiring a 16 or 17-year-old masseuse from a spa, I'm just going to put that out there. But what did she tell you about Trump? Since we don't have the Epstein files, at least she talked to you.
Right. I mean, her interactions with Trump were limited, but she met Trump through Epstein. It wasn't the other way around. It wasn't like Epstein stole Virginia from Trump as if Trump knew this employee at Mar-a-Lago. It was actually Ghislaine Maxwell, the woman he's considering pardoning, who found her in the ladies' room, a place that Jeffrey Epstein could not be, in the female spa. And she saw Virginia reading a book on how to become a masseuse. And she said, I want to become a masseuse. And she said, let me take you. I'll teach you how to be a masseuse. You can be a traveling masseuse for a wealthy man. Then she brought her back to Jeffrey's home, and she was the one who took off Virginia's clothes and molested her. And this is the woman they're considering pardoning. But
yeah. So you see that's Tara. She's a journalist who actually interviewed Virginia Jeffrey before. Was, I guess, one of the last journalists to actually have some line of communication with her before committing suicide. And I guess Erin Burnett's strategy here is to ask Tara, hey, did Virginia ever say anything about President Trump? Like, where is Erin going with this exactly? I'm not understanding how we go from the president explaining why he parted ways with Jeffrey Epstein to what did one of the victims say about President Trump? Like, can we just all admit something, that if there was something there on President Trump that was a bombshell, a scandal, don't you think we would have already been made aware of that? Don't you think Democrats would have used that already? I don't know why CNN is continuing to be so anti-Trump. And if they don't be careful, they're going to end up like CBS. Now, speaking of CBS, here is President on Air Force One once again in that same conversation talking about a potential settlement with the Wall Street Journal. Take a listen.
Lawyers are seeking to depose Rupert Murdoch, pardon me. Can you say what the lawyers hope to get out of that?
We're going to see. It's in the lawyers' hands. I've been treated very unfairly by the Wall Street Journal and everything. I mean, I don't know. They even hired people from the Washington Post, third-rate reporters, gossip-type reporters. It's all gossip. And, I've been treated badly by the Wall Street Journal. I would have assumed that Rupert Murdoch controls it, but, maybe does, maybe doesn't. They are talking to us about doing something, but we'll see what happens. Maybe they would like us to drop that. And so we'll see.
Does that mean they're settling talks?
Yeah, they want to settle it.
With money involved?
He's treated us wrong. I mean, when I get treated unfairly, I do things about it. So we'll see what happens.
I'll tell you what, if Wall Street Journal ends up settling with the president, you already know what mainstream media is going to continue to say, that the president is bullying these media companies into giving him money, when really it's the media companies being held accountable. Now, for decades on end, these outlets, these media companies have been able to get off scot-free by saying pretty much whatever they want to say, even things that I would say are defamation, especially of President Trump. So I don't have any sympathy towards the Wall Street Journal or any outlet for that matter. Okay, so now we move on to Democrats and the games they continue to play by showing up at the ICE detention facilities to, stage a photo op and cause more trouble. But what's been happening recently, which is smart on DHS's behalf, is they start rejecting these people from Congress, meaning they deny them access because they already know how this is going to go. Well, because they did this, there was a meltdown. Let's start here.
Reporters are Tom Homan talking about Democrats after a group of them from Maryland staged an impromptu sit-in at a Baltimore Immigration, Customs and Enforcement detention facility. The group claimed inhumane conditions were happening at that ICE facility. ICE denies it all. They claimed they were denied entry despite following all legal requirements. The Homeland Security Department fired back. If you need a photo op with a violent criminal illegal alien you are protecting, schedule a tour. Remember, we've been through this before. They showed up at that detention center in New Jersey, and one of those Congress people ended up with charges on her hands. The group included 4 House members, as well as Senators Angela Alsobrooks and Chris Van Hollen. Van Hollen has faced criticism for his open support of suspected MS-13 gang member Kilmar Abrega Garcia. DHS Secretary Kristi Noem called him right out. She posted photos of 4 violent criminals actually being detained inside that facility with this caption, "These are the monsters that Chris Van Hollen is protecting over American citizens."
All right, so allow me to share a quick message from today's sponsor, Bearskin. Yes, it is summertime right now, but let's not forget, winter will come, and the last thing you need is a hoodie that sucks. It's a great time to do your winter shopping, which is why most people are smart by locking in their 60% off with Bearskin. What is Bearskin exactly? It's what I'm wearing right now. It's a hoodie that is built like a tank, 340 GSM micro fleece, 10 pockets with a clean, rugged fit that looks awesome. As you guys can see, I look great, right? I mean, come on. Plus, it zips right into a heavy storm rain jacket to become 100% waterproof when you need it. So when it turns cold, wet, or rainy, you're not scrambling last minute. Plus, you're going to get free U.S. shipping, fast delivery, and your winter gear already locked in. So get your Bearskin today by texting my name, Devori, to 36912. Again, text my name, Devori, to 36912 to get 60% off. They'll send you a link so you could check out on your own time. Once again, text my name, Devori, to 36912. Yeah, it's no secret who Senator Chris Van Hollen loves the most, and it's not American citizens, including the mother of Rachel Morin, who happened to be from Maryland, which happens to be the state that he represents. But I don't think he represents the American people. He represents illegal aliens. Okay, so let's just get that out of the way. Secondly, Democrats are spending more time on issues where they're losing. Why are you guys staging a sit-in at an ICE detention facility that most Americans support its existence?
Van Hollen, when he shows up for a stunt like that, does he call ahead and say, I'm the senator from the state of Maryland, I'd like to schedule a visit, could you please tour me around so I can conduct oversight? Or does he just show up with no phone call and cameras?
Exactly. They just show up unannounced so they can get a photo op. If he said American people don't know what we're doing, I'll tell you what we're doing. I look at the data every morning. First thing I do, 20, 25 pages of data. 70% of everybody we arrest is a criminal. Who's the other 30%? National security threats, final orders of deportation, gang members. We're doing exactly what President Trump promised the American people we do. Target the worst first and enforce the laws of this country and make America safe. Safer every day. Every criminal threat we take off the street, every national security threat we take off the street makes this country safe. That's the facts. The data proves it.
Yeah, so two things are true at the same time. I mean, what Tom Homan is saying is Senator Van Hollen is an embarrassment to his profession, no question, because he continues to put illegal aliens ahead of American citizens, as you know. And it's also true that the Trump administration has put their best foot forward. Doesn't mean they're perfect. They have made mistakes. But as far as taking action and getting results, they've been on top of that. And that's what people voted for. So the bottom line here is while President Trump is actually doing something, Democrats are all talk.
President Trump lied to the American people when he said that the Trump administration was simply going to focus on, quote, the worst of the worst.
We had questions about medical care. We had questions about the number of detainees. We had questions about visits from lawyers and others. And all we got, quite frankly, was a very shrill and chilly response.
This is unbelievable that they would turn us away from this building here in the United States, members of Congress with the right to go see our constituents.
The director provided absolutely no assurances to us that our constituents are being treated humanely.
Yeah, so just so you guys know where I stand, I have no sympathy here, okay, for people who are being detained in these ICE facilities. And I'm sure there's at least one person who probably shouldn't be there. I'm sure there's at least one, but overall, ICE is doing the right thing here. And for the record, just so you guys understand why I feel the way that I do, I have never seen Congress stage a sit-in at a VA facility. Given all of the scandals at the Veteran Affairs, all of the veterans who've been turned away, denied disability, not receiving proper health care, I've never seen them this outraged. So sorry if I don't have any sympathy here for people at these ICE detention facilities, and I definitely don't give any credibility to what Democrats just had to say there. Now, let's go to this other update, and this just happened on the Senate floor with Cory Booker out of New Jersey. I suppose, according to what he had to say in this clip, there have been Democrats approaching him and telling him to switch up his strategy. And he didn't like it. In fact, he went off on his own party. And I think this is Democrats' main messaging strategy here, which is to get louder, to get more aggressive, and to basically scream in order to make their point. I just don't think it gets them what they want in the end. Take a look at this.
The Democratic Party needs a wake-up call. I see law firms bending a knee to this president, not caring about the larger principles, that those free speech rights, that you could take on any client, why are you bending the knee? I see universities that should be bastions of free speech bending at the knee to this president. I see businesses taking late-night talk show hosts off the air because they dare to insult a president. I see people who want mergers suddenly think that they have to pay tribute to this president. And what are the very people here elected to defend the Constitution of the United States saying, oh, well, today, let's look the other way and pass some resources that won't go to Connecticut, that won't go to Illinois, that won't go to New York, that will go to the states he likes. That is complicity with an authoritarian leader who is trashing our Constitution. It's time for Democrats to have a backbone. It's time for us to fight. It's time for us to draw lines.
Yeah, there's nothing like someone his age getting that upset, right? Listen, there's nothing Democrats can do. I really believe, and I'm going to stay with this analogy, President Trump and his administration is a freight train. There's no way you're going to stop it, okay? What they need to do is just get out of the way and let the train make its course. Wherever it leads, it leads. But to try to get in the way and stop this freight train, they're only going to kill themselves. And the other thing that strikes me is all these Democrats are up in arms about what's happening to these institutions, right? But where were they when conservatives were getting banned off social media? Where were they when people were going to prison over posting memes? It's just fascinating how they have forgotten that when they were in power, they were doing the same thing they're accusing President Trump of doing.
And when it comes to the safety of my state being denied these grants, that's why I'm standing here. Don't question my integrity. Don't question my motives. I'm standing for Jersey. I am standing for my police officers. I'm standing for the Constitution, and I'm standing for what's right. And dear God, if you want to come at me that way, you're going to have to take it up with me, because there's too much on the line right now in America. As people's due process rights and freedom of the speech rights and secret police are running around this country, picking people up off the streets who have a legal right to be here. There's too much going on in this country.
Yeah, if you looked at his eyes, he's got something going on in there. Something's going on with him. But he's right. There is a lot going on in the country. And unfortunately, Democrats are on the wrong side of most of these issues. You know, so yeah, there's a lot going on in the country when government leaders believe boys can be girls or boys can play in girls' sports, or that there should be no limit to abortion. Or that black people can't vote in an election if an ID is required. Yeah, of course. Or that black people need a handout in order to get promoted in their professions. Yeah, sure. Yeah, there's a lot going on, but I showed you this because this is what Democrats have been focused on. Now, the other thing they were focused on today is calling out the SAVE Act, which prevents illegal aliens from voting in our elections, but also the fact that, again, minorities, black people, and low-income individuals will not be able to vote in elections if voter ID is required. Here's Chuck Schumer saying just that. Take a listen.
So it's been clear. When we fight for democracy, when we protect democracy, we got to fight fire with fire. We're not going to stand idly by, as Maya said. We're not going to let them revert to Jim Crow. And if you don't think they want to revert to Jim Crow, just look what they did in the SAVE Act, which went back to took Jim Crow for the whole nation. By so making it hard, they said you need ID, and they made it so hard to show ID that probably half the people in America couldn't vote. We wouldn't let it pass. Democrats, they needed our vote. They went to court. Many of us, Durbin, myself, and others, were lead plaintiffs, and we beat them in court. But it shows why we need legislation. Because these guys are undoing everything in every way they can. They don't want poor people to vote. They don't want people of color to vote. They don't want Democrats to vote. They don't believe in democracy. We do. And so we see what they do to people everywhere. A heinous act of legislation, great ugly betrayal.
All right. Now, if you consider yourself a minority or you are a black person and you watch my show, please put in the comment section right now. Do you believe that if you were required to show ID, it would prevent you from voting in the election? Let me know. Listen, I'm not trying to insult your intelligence. I just want to read it for myself again, because Democrats, they sound so animated on this issue. Now, I know you probably have seen that viral video where the guy goes around New York City asking black people, hey, you're going to have a problem voting in an election if voter ID is required? And every one of them was like, no. And then he went around and asked white people the same question. And they're like, yeah, black people can't vote in elections. I mean, this is what the media does to our country. They program people to believe in something that just is not reality.
And to my colleagues in the United States Senate, let me just say, this is what America looks like. That's right. This is what America looks like. This is what democracy looks like. Every person gets a vote. What are you scared of? What do you fear in giving people a vote? Why are you trying to suppress people from going to the polls?
See, they say it out loud. He wants everyone, which would include illegal aliens, migrants who are not citizens of our country, to vote in elections. I mean, you can't make it more obvious than that, right? And that's why, as the days go on, it becomes more apparent that that's what Democrats truly want. No wonder they didn't mind that the border was open, because migrants are being counted in the census, which begs the question, where is Congress on passing a piece of legislation to prevent that in the future? I know it's been put forward by some members of Congress, but it has not been passed yet, and it needs to get passed. Because if it doesn't, Democrats will try to repeat the same thing again when they reach power. Okay, so now it's time to get your guys' thoughts in the comment section below to this video today. What do you think of what President Trump had to say on Air Force One? He talked about why he parted ways with Jeffrey Epstein. Then you got to see what CNN made of that, and I guess tried to manufacture some type of scandal. Let me know what your thoughts are about that. And then secondly, the fact that Democrats are now trying to stage photo ops at these detention facilities. And the cool thing is they're getting denied access to these facilities. Let me know if you agree with that approach from DHS. And then what do you make of these charades from Democrats today? I don't know what they're trying to do. I don't know where they're going, but I think they continue to humiliate themselves every time they hold a press conference. Let me know your thoughts about all that in the comment section below. Okay, so in our next video, CNN was caught lying about the skin color of the Manhattan shooter who killed 5 people yesterday in a mass shooting. You got to see this for yourself. Once again, they are embarrassing their profession, and so much for journalism, right? So if you guys are interested in that video and more stories from earlier today, all you have to do is click on it because it's coming up right now.